Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now we are going to start off with the course on MCQs on electrical machines. Starting off with question. DC machine windings are always full pitched windings. So the answer is A, that is full pitched. They are full pitched only because it offers maximum induced EMF within the coil. There is no additional requirement of short pitch of the coil like alternators. Next, which of the following represent the commutator pitch? So the answer is number of commutator segments between two successive coils, that is D, is the answer. So defining some pitches. So back pitch is known as number of conductors spanned by one coil at the back end of the armature. Front pitch is known as the number of conductors spanned by one coil at the front end of the armature. Resultant pitch is the distance between the starting of first coil and its next successive coil. And the commutator pitch is the number of commutator segments between two successive coils. So the answer is D. Next, in a DC machine, 4-pole lap winding is used. The number of parallel paths are. So remember, in lap winding, the number of parallel path is equal to number of poles, which is equal to 4. So if it is 4-pole winding, so the answer will be B, that is 4. For the wave winding, it will be equal to 2. Next, in a DC machine, 6-pole wave winding is used. The number of parallel paths are. Remember, in a wave winding or simplex winding, the number of parallel path is equal to always 2, irrespective of number of poles. So the answer will be C, that is 2. Next, interpole winding is connected in which pattern? So the answer will be, it will be in the series with armature. Interpoles are actually small narrow commutating poles connected in series with armature. It produces an extra flux to neutralize the reactance MMF produced at the time of commutation process. Next, in lap winding DC machine, number of conductors are 100 and the number of parallel paths are 10. We have to find the average pitch. We can also find it by back pitch plus front pitch divided by 2 or number of conductors divided by number of parallel paths. So the answer will be 10. Next, lap winding is preferred for which type of machine? So the answer is, it is preferred for high current and low voltage because the number of parallel paths are more in case of lap winding than the wave winding. So the summation of current at the output is more. Therefore, it is preferred for high current and low voltage rated machines. Next, wave winding is preferred for which of the following ratings? So the answer is, it is preferred for low current and high voltage. As you know, the number of parallel paths in the wave winding is only 2. Therefore, it is used for low current and high voltage rated machines. Next, equalizer ring are used in which of the following? So the answer is A, it is used in the lap winding because there are more number of parallel paths in lap winding. As we know that lap winding is the number of parallel path is more, there would be severe sparking at the brushes due to difference in the current in the different parallel paths. But in wave winding, the number of parallel path is 2 and the sparking at the commutation is less. Next, in a 2-pole lap winding DC machine, the resistance of one conductor is 2 ohm and the total number of conductor is 100. Find the total resistance. So we know that the total resistance depends upon the number of parallel paths, and in lap winding the parallel path is equal to number of poles, and here it is 2. Half of the conductor are in series, so 50 are in series and rest 50 are in series and they are in parallel together. So 50 number of 2 ohms resistor in series is equal to 100 ohms. So we know that by the formula x into z by a square, when we calculate, the answer will be 50 ohms, that is C. Next, dummy coils are used for Mechanical balancing. We know that dummy coils are required under wave winding only to make the mechanical machine balanced. Next, a 4-pole lap wound DC generator has 4 brushes. If one of the brush is damaged, what will be the change in V, I and P ratings? So the answer will be, it will be V will be V, I will become half and P will also become half. Because then the two parallel paths will be damaged. So only two parallel paths will provide I by 2 current and voltage is same for the parallel paths. The current is halved and the delivered power will also be halved. Next. For a DC machine, the shunt resistance and armature resistance values are, so the answer is B, that is high and low. For a DC machine, the value of armature resistance is very low and shunt resistance is high. Because the power delivered by the DC machine depends upon the armature current and IA should be high to deliver maximum power. So the shunt field is parallel to armature field and the resistance must be high for minimum value of shunt field current. So the series resistance is more, then there would be considerable series drop against the armature current will be low. So the answer is B, that is it is high shunt resistance and armature resistance is low. Next. Shunt field of a DC generator consists of large number of turns and thin conductor respectively. We know that the formula is R is equal to rho L by A. So to deliver the maximum power, the armature current must be high and the shunt field current is minimum. So the shunt field resistance of a DC machine is very high. Value is around 50 to 500 ohms. It can be concluded for the high resistance length for a coil is to be large and the area to be small. Next, series field consists of less number of turns and thick conductors respectively. Again by the same formula, R is equal to rho L by A. The power delivered by a DC machine depend upon the armature current, the series field in the series with armature so that they carry same current through them. So series field are kept at low resistance for minimum drop. Next, what is or are the necessary condition for voltage buildup in self-excited generator? So the answer will be D, that is pole should contain residual flux, field windings should be properly connected to the armature winding and the field resistance should be less than the critical resistance. Because it may be stated that by separate DC source at the shunt field when armature is at rest, so the field winding should be properly connected to armature winding. If the field connection is reversed, then the field flux would oppose the residual flux and the field winding resistance should be less than the critical so that the voltage will not build up the field resistance which is greater than the critical. So the speed of the generator should be greater than the critical speed. Answer will be D, that is all of the above. Next, for no load saturation characteristics are plotted between no load voltage and the field current. This operating characteristic is known as the saturation curve or the open circuit characteristic or the magnetization curve. This curve is drawn between no load armature generated voltage with field or exciting current, keeping the speed constant by prime mover. This curve starts slightly above the zero due to residual magnetism. It also determines the design of flux per pole under linear magnetization. Next, the effect of armature flux on the main field flux is armature reaction. So on no load armature flux, it is negligible as armature current is small, but with the load, rotating armature produces a flux which is due to the sufficient armature current or load current. The effect of this armature flux on the main field flux is known as armature reaction. Next, the armature flux is stationary with respect to the main field flux or the main field poles. So the rotating armature produces a rotating armature flux with respect to the armature and there is a working flux with it is also under the pole distributed uniformly. Armature MMF is stationary with respect to field poles but rotating with respect to armature. Next, cross magnetization effect which of the following? So the answer is it affects the commutation. By vector addition, it is found that it distorts the main field flux. As a result, it shifts the MNA. There would be sparking at time of commutation if the brushes are not shifted to MNA. Okay, so if you like my videos, you can also subscribe to my channel. And if you have any doubt, you can always ask me in the comment section below. Thank you.